Because Cloak and Dagger are awesome. It's funny, I read a lot of comics, I'm versed enough in kind of a genre, and it's really weird when you break it down. There aren't a lot of partnerships that are yin and yang, that are equal, and I've always loved Tandy and Tyrone in that sense. It's not Batman and Robin where there's a sidekick. It's these two that not only are kind of keep each other in check, but they need each other. I've always loved the relationship. And why now is a fate thing. You know, we've been trying to make this for a little while, and I think someone up there was looking out and waited for Gina to be available and for Aubrey and Olivia to be available. And you know, today's the day before we're about to have a huge march led by teenagers. And I just hope we can add to that spirit. I think the kids are going to save us, and hopefully these two kids will inspire some people to do as well.
Well, speaking of that, you're known for your work on Heroes and working in the comics. So what was it like developing the show as a showrunner with Freeform?
It was great. It was funny. I was a little bit worried because I didn't know them well enough, and I was worried they were going to ask me to dial things back or cool things down. But they were the exact opposite. You know, once I looked, they do edgy work about addiction and about imperfect families. So they've been fantastic the whole way through. And I'd say, I want to do this crazy thing where we deal with abuse or drug addiction or police brutality, and they've always encouraged me to just kind of push it further and further.
What are some of the biggest themes that you want your audience to walk away with from the show?
Man, I think that any of us can be heroes as a starter. I think one of the important things is the old comic was a little bit sexist and racist in the sense that it was like Tyrone is fear and Tandy is hope. And so we mixed it up a little and made it about Tandy living on a spectrum between cynicism and hope and trying to push herself towards hope, and Tyrone living on a spectrum between fear and bravery and trying to push himself to be brave. So if people can watch this and maybe challenge themselves to be a little better, it'd be fantastic.
I feel like this was probably the most sought-after roles for a young actor and actress, so what about Olivia and Aubrey made them perfect for these roles?
Yeah, well, we looked at, hundreds of people. I think the most important thing is that they come off as real and truthful, and I think when you watch the show, they just feel like real kids. They have such different backgrounds. I remember we were talking to Aubrey when we were doing auditions, and we're like, what are you doing this weekend? He's like, I just started college, and I joined a fraternity, and we're going to have a party. And then we're talking to Olivia, and she's like, I'm singing the national anthem at the Pro Bowl. And we're like, okay, well, we've got the two different kinds of kids, part-time. But honestly, not only are they really great people, but they're extremely talented, and, I'll hack together some script, and they'll make it really feel real, and they'll make you feel. I'll be watching the 15th edit of an episode and I'm like, still feeling stuff. So they're just amazing.
And then with this show, in developing it, how much did you look back at the old comics, and what from those did you really pull out that you felt was important, and what were the things you're like, we're going to leave that alone?
Yeah, well, the relationship was the most important. I still think Tandy and Tyrone, anyone who has read more than 100 comics, there's just something special there. So that was the most important thing. But the things I wanted to leave alone were the things like the outfit that's a little bit sexist, or some of the dialogue, which was a little bit racist. So I think pulling it out of New York, kind of untethering it from its original story, but hitting all the themes, allowed us to tell the beautiful story of Tandy Tyrone while leaving some of the dated stuff behind.
And they have a very specific story where they're tied to each other, they're tying it in with the city itself, but it's different in the sense of, it's not like Marvel's Runaway where the parents are the enemy. Do I have that right?
Absolutely. Yeah. The parents are, we've got an amazing cast, Gloria Rubin plays Tyrone's mom, Andrea Roth plays Tandy's mom. It's kind of just impressive, the adults who came to play, and hopefully they're all fully formed characters. Tyrone and his mom have a conversation in the first episode, which they kind of really lay out what it's like to be their family, kind of living in fear, and then they have the most amazing converse version of that conversation in episode 9, and it's just amazing to see what Gloria and Aubrey can do on screen together. The parents really just showed up to play, and honestly, each one could have their own show if they wanted to.
You mentioned outfits. Are we going to see, the cloak on cloak? When can we sort of anticipate any of that?
I can't tell you exact whens, but the entire season is kind of the inner monologue of me and how I feel about costumes over the course of 10 episodes.
Okay.
So you'll see things suggested. You'll go, oh, that's going to be the cloak, and then we'll pull the rug from under you and change it up. So I think I have weird, strange feelings about costumes. I think when they're done well, it's great. But I wanted to make sure these were human beings first and foremost.
Cool.
I heard you talking at one of the other tables. I heard the word
You're not
Buffy.
allowed to do that.
Well, I heard the word Buffy
Yes.
and my ears perked up because we're from Whedon-Novelist.
Okay.
You were saying, could you extrapolate more
I grew
about
up watching Buffy. I was a TA when Buffy was on, and I remembered quiet girls who I couldn't get to participate in class, and then when I started talking about Buffy, they all raised their hands, and they really engaged with the school. I think it's an amazing show. The thing we said about Buffy is probably the best show in my example of nobody understands me, and I feel like from the first episode to the last episode, it really kind of solved that problem for Buffy, and so we wanted Cloak and Dagger to me, there's exactly one person who understands me. It kind of changed the game a little on that.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Yes.